The bus rattled along the uneven road, its tires kicking up dust that hung in the air like smoke. Inside, the chatter of schoolgirls filled the space. Laughter, whispers, the rustle of notebooks, the smell of ink and paper mixed with the faint scent of diesel. For a moment, it was ordinary. For a moment, it was safe. Then the bus slowed. A man climbed aboard. His face was hidden, his voice sharp, cutting through the chatter like a blade. He asked one name, Malala. The silence was instant. Every girl froze. Malala's heart pounded in her chest. She looked up. The man raised his arm. The shot cracked the air. A scream, then another. Her body slumped, blood soaking into her scarf. The world tilted into chaos. That moment was supposed to be the end, a bullet meant to erase a voice. But instead it became the beginning of something far louder than the gun that fired it. Malala Yousafzai was born in Mingora, in Pakistan's Swat Valley, a place of breathtaking beauty and constant tension. Towering mountains stood like ancient guardians. Rivers cut through the land like veins of silver, and orchards bloomed with apricots and peaches. But beneath the beauty was unease, poverty, inequality, and the looming shadow of extremism. Her father, Ziauddin, was a teacher with fire in his heart. He believed education was not just a right, but a weapon against ignorance. He built a school with his own hands, brick by brick, and he raised his daughter to believe her mind was not a cage, but a key. From the start, Malala was different. While other children played, she stood at the front of classrooms, her voice clear, her eyes bright, declaring that girls deserve the same right to learn as boys. She was bold, unafraid to speak even when the world around her demanded silence. Her father encouraged her. "You will speak, Malala," he told her. "You will not hide. You will not be silent." Then came the Taliban. They swept into Swat like a storm, black flags rising, voices booming from radios and mosques. They banned music. They burned schools. They declared that girls should stay home, silent, invisible. Fear spread like smoke. Families locked their doors. Teachers stopped teaching. But Malala refused to vanish. At just 11 years old, she began writing for the BBC under a false name. Her words painted the truth. The fear of walking to school under threat. The sound of bombs echoing through the valley. The heartbreak of classrooms reduced to rubble. She wrote not as a victim, but as a witness, and the world began to listen. But so did the Taliban. Her name appeared on their list. She was marked. October 9th, 2012. The bus ride home, the gunman's voice. The trigger pulled, a bullet tearing through her head and neck, her friends screaming, the driver racing through the streets, Malala unconscious, her life hanging by a thread. Doctors in Swat worked frantically. "She needs to be moved," one whispered. "She won't survive here." She was flown to Peshawar, then across continents to Birmingham, England. Machines kept her alive. Surgeons worked for hours. The world held its breath. Her father sat by her bedside, his hands trembling. "Stay with us, Malala," he whispered. "Stay." Against every odd, she survived. When she opened her eyes, her face was scarred, her voice weak, but her spirit unbroken. The Taliban had tried to silence her. Instead, they had given her a microphone that reached the entire world. The hospital room in Birmingham was quiet except for the steady hum of machines. Tubes ran from her body, monitors blinked, and the air smelled faintly of antiseptic. Malala lay still, her face swollen, her head bandaged. For days, she hovered between life and death. Doctors whispered in corridors. Nurses moved carefully as if the slightest sound might disturb her fragile hold on life. Her father sat by her bedside, his hands trembling as he held hers. "Stay with us, Malala," he whispered. "Stay." He had always told her she was destined to speak for millions. Now he prayed she would simply breathe. When she finally opened her eyes, the world seemed different. Her face was scarred, her voice weak, her hearing damaged. But inside, the fire had not gone out. If anything, it burned brighter. The Taliban had tried to silence her. Instead, they had given her a story that the world could not ignore. Recovery was slow. Each step was a battle. She struggled to form words, to move her face, to accept the reflection in the mirror, but she refused to let despair win. "I am still Malala," she told herself. "They tried to kill me, but I am still here." Her first public appearance came on her 16th birthday. The United Nations Hall was packed, cameras flashing, leaders leaning forward in their seats. She wore a pink shawl once owned by Benazir Bhutto, another Pakistani woman who had faced bullets for daring to lead. The symbolism was not lost on anyone. She stepped to the podium, her voice steady, her words unforgettable. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. The hall erupted in applause, but Malala did not smile. She was not there for applause. She was there for the millions of children who still sat outside classrooms, their futures stolen by poverty, war, and fear. Her message was simple, but it cut through the noise of politics and power. Education is not a privilege. It is a right, and she would not stop until every child, everywhere, had that right. From that day, her life changed. She traveled across continents, meeting presidents and prime ministers, standing before parliaments and assemblies. She sat with children in refugee camps, listening to their stories, reminding them that their voices mattered. She became a symbol, not of tragedy, but of defiance. In 2014, at just 17 years old, Malala Yousafzai became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate in history. She stood on the stage in Oslo, her voice carrying across the world, not as a victim, but as a victor. She shared the prize with Kailash Satyarthi, an Indian activist who had fought against child labor. Together, they represented a bridge across borders, proof that the fight for children's rights was bigger than politics, bigger than nations. Her speech was not about herself. It was about the children who could not be there, the girls forced into marriage before they could finish school, the boys sent to work in factories instead of classrooms, the millions who still dreamed of holding a book, of writing their names, of shaping their own futures. The girl who had once hidden her name behind a pseudonym was now known everywhere. The girl who had been told to stay home had become the face of education for millions. The girl who had been shot for speaking had become louder than ever. Her journey was not about the bullet. It was about what came after. The courage to rise, the power to forgive, the determination to keep fighting, not with weapons, but with words. From a bus in Swat Valley to the Nobel stage in Norway, Malala's story is proof that pain can be transformed into power. That even in the darkest moments, a single voice can light the way. This is Malala Yousafzai. From bullet to Nobel Prize. From silence to a roar heard around the world. From pain to power.